Namaste everyone here at BookTube. Welcome to my channel, Hamsavahini Vajra Astra. I'm Ohana. Today's video is going to be about my TBR for the Victober 2020 challenge. Now, as we all know, the Victober 2020 challenge commences from the 1st of October 2020 and continues till the 31st of October 2020. This challenge has been hosted by Katie from Books and Things, Lucy from LucyTheReader, and Kate from KateHowe. Now, there are a set of about 6 challenges, which includes the group read-along as well. So the first challenge is from Katie from Books and Things, and her challenge is to read a Victorian book that equates to your favorite modern genre. So my favorite modern genre is science fiction, and for this I have selected, or I have chosen to read Frankenstein Dreams. It's a compilation of Victorian era science fiction which has been compiled by Micahel, and it's called A Connoisseurs Collection of Victorian Science Fiction. So I'm very keen on reading this because science fiction has always been my favorite, and I'm curious to know what Victorian science fiction was all about. Of course, I have read Frankenstein, but I'm curious to read about the others, especially H.G. Wells' Time Machine. Now, the second challenge is from Lucy from LucyTheReader, and her challenge is to read a Victorian diary or a collection of letters. So for this particular challenge, I have 2 books from the opposite end of the spectrum. So the first book which I have is Aunt Epps' Guide for a Victorian Life, and as you can see, it's a very pretty book. It's been written by a Victorian lady for Victorian women to live during the Victorian era, and it reads on the front cover, From Chastity to Copper Kettles, Musings of a Victorian Lady. It's been written by Elspeth Marr. Forgive me, I may be pronouncing this wrong. It's Elspeth Marr, and I'll just be reading from the back of this book, which reads as: in this delightful and engagingly eccentric treasury of life lessons, redoubtable Victorian Elspeth Marr reflects on the fundamental topics of life as well as the nuts and the bolts of everyday living. Parts journal, parts commonplace. Among many gems, you will find enlightenment and advice on adultery, angels, dreams, envy, garlic, ink stains, lemons, men, old age, patriotism, pianos, slimming, singing, wind, wrinkles, and youth. So there are a lot of things which I'm quite keen on reading. So this is all about a Victorian lady and the prerequisites of leading a proper Victorian life. I'm quite interested and keen on reading this. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum is an adaptation which has been taken from the diary of Florence Nightingale, and it has been published under the name of Cassandra. It's an angry outcry against the forced idleness of Victorian women, and this has been written by Florence Nightingale. So I'm just going to read something from the back of this book. The world knows Florence Nightingale as the lady with the lamp, the revered founder of nursing as an acceptable profession for women. But few people are aware that Nightingale's career only began after years of ceaseless struggle to free herself. I think I just lost the note. I'm just going to begin once again. The world knows Florence Nightingale as the lady with the lamp, the revered founder of nursing as an acceptable profession for women, but few people are aware that Nightingale's career only began after years of ceaseless struggle to free herself from the suffocating restrictions of a middle-class Victorian family. In this surprisingly passionate feminist essay, Nightingale denounces the lives of idleness and triviality which she and other Victorian women of her class were forced to lead. So this is completely on the opposite end of the spectrum. So these are 2 sides of the same coin, the life of Victorian women according to the norms or the social norms, and those who were against the social norms. So it's going to be a very interesting read for me. Now, the third challenge is from Kate from KateHowe, and her challenge is to read a new book to you or short story by your favorite author. So for this particular challenge, I have chosen to read Victorian Fairy Tales, which has been edited by Michael Newton. This is a book which I have newly acquired, so it fulfills both the prompts, and it is an anthology of all the fairy tales which have been written during the Victorian era. I do really apologize. I might have mispronounced the surname of Kate, so it's probably should be KateHowe. It could be KateHowe, so I apologize for that. Please forgive me. Now, I'm just going to read something from the back of this book, which reads as: The Queen and the Bat had been talking a good deal that afternoon. The Victorian fascination with fairy tale vivified the literature of the period and led to some of the most imaginative fairy tales ever written. They offer the shortest path to the age's dream, desires, and wishes. Authors central to the 19th century canon, such as W.M. Thackeray, Oscar Wilde, Ford Madox Ford, and Rudyard Kipling, wrote fairy tales, and authors primarily famous for their work in the genre include George MacDonald, Dina Craig, Mary Day Morgan, and Andrew Lang. This anthology brings together 14 of the best stories by these and other outstanding practitioners to show the vibrancy and variety of the form and its abilities to reflect our deepest concerns. In tales of whimsy and romance, witty satire and uncanny mystery, love, suffering, family, and travels of identity are imaginatively explored. Michael Newton's introduction and notes provide illuminating contextual and biographical information about the authors and the development of the literary fairy style. A selection of original illustrations is also included, so I'm quite excited about reading this because fairy tales, science fiction, and horror fiction are few of my favorite genres. So this being newly acquired, I definitely will make a book review on this. Now, the next challenge is the Reader's Challenge, which is to read a Victorian book you have been meaning to read. So I have been trying to read some work by Victor Hugo because he is one of the Victorian authors whom I have never read, and for this I have chosen to read Hunchback of Notre Dame, and I have never read this book. So it is a Gothic classic, and I am coupling this book with another challenge which I'm also pursuing during October, so I'm looking forward to reading this book. Now, the next challenge is about the Victorian costume, or to read a Victorian book in a Victoriesque dress, and the last challenge is the group read along, for which the book which has been chosen is Shirley by Charlotte Bronte. For the group read along, I'm quite excited about this particular book because I have barely read any work of Charlotte Bronte. So, and because it's a group read along, so there will be lots of discussions and videos which will be posted on this, so I'm looking forward to reading this book. So these are the few books which I have chosen to read. Of course, I've not got my copy of Frankenstein's Dreams as yet. I will be receiving that somewhere next week, so quite excited to get along and start reading for Victober. There is another challenge which has been put forward by Kate from KateHowe, and this is called the Star-Crossed Stitching Challenge. So in this, we stitch, or we choose a piece for stitching or any sort of handicraft, and we listen to the audiobook of Thomas Hardy's Two on a Tower. So for this, I have chosen to stitch a quick stitch, and this is the piece which I've chosen. It's of course printed, and we just have to fill in the threads. However, it's not so easy as it looks, so hopefully I should be able to finish this in October, but I cannot guarantee it because I have been out of practice of needle work for almost 5 years now, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to pick up the speed, but I definitely will try, and I'm quite excited about the audiobook of Thomas Hardy. So this would be for the Star-Crossed Stitchers Challenge, which has been hosted by Kate from KateHowe, and there are other booktubers who have also got along and hosted this particular challenge, which is part of Victober. However, I'm not too sure about their channel links, but I will post the links to the announcement video by Kate from KateHowe. And this brings us to the end of my TBR list for Victober 2020, which I'm quite excited about. So I'll meet you in another video in October for the challenge of Victober 2020. Until then, wishing you a good reading week ahead, and namaste.